Are the X-Men humans or humanoid mutants? That's a question that was raised by many of X-Men fans over the years. And even the X-Men themselves would tell you, yes, they're human. But it would take a courtroom, a lawsuit, and a judge to rule once and for all that the X-Men, who look like human, were in fact not human at all. Why was a judge hearing a case about the Marvel comic book superheroes and action figures? Well, it came down to something that sounds like it was a plot from one of the Star Wars prequels. Taxes. Back in 2002, there was an import tax that put a 12% tariff on all dolls coming into the US. But any non-human toys, the tariff was only 6.8%. Toy Biz was hit with a 12% tax on their shipping of X-Men, Spider-Man, and other Marvel action figures. However, Toy Biz, who owned Marvel at the time, felt that the figures were not dolls, as the tax laws define dolls. A doll is a toy figure that represents a human being, and would be hit with a 12% tax. Toy Biz did what any superhero would do. They took the United States government to court to prove that X-Men and the other Marvel superheroes were not human beings. Toy Biz will argue that several of the Spider-Man villains and the Fantastic Four themselves were non-human characters. During the trial, over 80 Marvel action figures from Toy Biz was shown to the court, as Toy Biz would explain why each one was not a human, with then the United States government having to explain why each one was. It was like a courtroom battle that would have taken place on the playground as a kid. According to Toy Biz, the Marvel action figures were classified as animals or non-human characters, more like robots or monsters, and would fall under the 6.8 tax bracket. Toy Biz did agree that the X-Men looked human. As they say in court, they do look human in various degrees. Toy Biz showed the court a Wolverine action figure and noted that the long sharp-like claws crafted onto the hands that came from under his skin, along with his wolf-like hair and ears. According to Toy Biz, that wasn't something a human would have. So how could they be taxed as toys based on humans? However, the US would claim that they are human, but they transformed into something else, making them still fall under the doll tax rate. After closely studying the action figures and hearing about the character of each figure, the judge made official ruling that the action figures were playthings, but were not classified as dolls under the terms of the import tax rule. That's right, a court of law had ruled that the X-Men were non-humans. But not every Marvel action figure was spared. The judge made a ruling on each figure, and some did fall under the doll category, such as the Silver Samurai action figure that was ruled a doll. The judge then ordered the US government to repay Toy Biz for its overpaid import taxes. Shortly after the ruling, Marvel released a statement addressing the concerns of fans if X-Men were human or not. Our heroes are living, breathing human beings, but humans who have extraordinary abilities. Marvel would tell its fans in the statement and add, the court ruling that the X-Men indeed have non-human characteristics prove that they have special out-of-this-world powers. This wasn't even the first time the courts had to rule if a toy was a human or not. Back in 1986, the US government claimed that E.T. was an alien, but E.T. doll maker Karma argued that E.T. was an animated object and not subject to the same tax as an alien would be. To decide the fate of E.T., the court had to use an earlier ruling. That earlier ruling had ruled that Star Wars action figures was animated objects that were living beings empowered with animal life. If you agree with the US, don't worry. At the end, they really won. Not long after the ruling, the US government went to work to change the import tax laws, putting dolls and all toys under the same 12% tax rate. Well, that's a look at the time a US courtroom declared that the X-Men were non-human. I want to thank you for watching. As always, thumb up so I know you like my content. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.